Hey there, we are fresh back from SEMA 2019 with a fresh new episode presented by Holly, Aluma Trailers, Wyotech, and Policygenius. Stay tuned for auditory excitement and greatness.
Hot damn!
That, of course, is the show intro. The rest of it, that's just normal.
You think you hate it now, but wait till you drive it.
The Kibbe and Friends Show.
What it is, bro?
Featuring Rob Kibbe.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Justin Corn Dog Cornett.
New guy's in the corner puking his guts out.
And show producer Bernie McPartland.
This is the DJ 3000, and it has 3 distinct varieties of inane chatter.
Talking cars.
Do you feel this vehicle is safe for highway travel?
Yes, I do.
Diving deep on the topics that matter most.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this.
And totally redeem yourself!
And the Dukes of Hazzard. Available in iTunes, Stitcher, and whatever else it is you listen on.
Turn up the volume.
The Kibbe and Friends Show.
Kibbe and Friends Show, episode number 128. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Patreon supporters this month were wowed to hear last month that the prize was this amazing tumbler set. A Kibbe and Friends.
Nice.
Hand-painted, handcrafted, individually marked tumbler. I wonder if you guys have one of these. Maybe
I
you do. Maybe you do too, Bertie? Okay, we each have handcrafted by Warren Customs, each a unique Kibbe and Friends Yeti-style tumbler, painted with real Generally paint. And inside, a little note. And 2 of our Patreon supporters won them. Not just 1, 2. They've already sent out. I believe Nathan will have these available just in time for Christmas. I thought I'd read the little note that was inside, which I thought was
very cute.
I thought it was going to be a joke, but it turns out it's totally legit. It says, "We at Warren Customs would like to congratulate you on your purchase of one of our custom cups. We take great pride in creating and packaging each cup by hand because each cup is individually sanded, primed, customized, and painted. No 2 cups are exactly the same. We have used the same time-proven materials and techniques used on all our custom builds and restorations on this cup, which makes it a truly made-in-America product." And it kind of goes on and says, "Care for the cup like you'd care for a car. You will actually wax it at some point. Wait for a month after the born-on date because it is freshly painted." And I did go out and stick it on the hood of Kibbe Lee. Same color.
And it disappeared.
Blended right into the pavement.
Didn't know there was a bump on my hood before, but now there's a bump. No, it's gone.
It is awesome. I will absolutely put a picture out to Patreon. But on one side is a 01, buried under the clear. On the other side is the Kibbe and Friends Show logo. If you're listening to this podcast on your phone, just go down and look at that logo. It's the one with the car going through the, what do you call those, road marker sign? Is it a fence?
Oh, yeah, that's right, it was.
Like a bridge out or... Yeah. It's always that one. Then on the bottom, there's a Warren Customs sticker. It's really a nice piece. Really cool. I do know that he has enough to make a short run for Christmas. Maybe he can do a few more. I'm not sure. But warrencustoms.com, I believe, is his website. So that is where you want to go. But with all that said, once we started recording, we have now hit November 11th, Veterans Day, here as we record this. Got a little bit of information for you. 2 things happened on this date. I will give you the first thing. Corndog can give you the second thing. So this is Veterans Day. And Veterans Day was originally known as, Bernie?
Armistice Day.
Yeah, it's Armistice Day. Way to go, Bernie.
Yeah.
Which is a federal holiday in the United States. It's observed annually on November 11th for honoring military veterans. That is, people who have served in the United States Armed Forces. Armistice Day was what it was called right after the end of World War I. Major hostilities of World War I were formally ended at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, when the armistice with Germany went into effect at the urging of major U.S. veteran organizations. Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day in 1954. So, to all of those of you who have served, way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I put out a little picture of my dad when he was in the Navy out on our Instagram today. That was a photo he had taken as a gift to my mom. Thought it was a really neat one. Corndog, you had one that you put out today. What was that?
Yeah, that was my grandfather. He died before I was even born. He was born in 1902. My mom, she was the last of the bunch of children. So he was in World War I in the Navy. He actually lied about his age, joined the Navy, and then his dad, they had a farm, and so his dad contacted the Navy and said, he's underage. He needs to come back to the farm and work. So he went back, and then when he turned 18, he went right back to the Navy again.
Okay.
That was my grandfather.
It's a very cornut thing. Get back here. Get back to work. Then you can go back.
We got chores to do.
Bernie, you have any veterans in your family?
My father's a veteran of Korea. He served, not in Korea, though. He served in Alaska, driving transport trucks and stuff up through snowy roads and little tiny bridges. And we went to Alaska several years ago, and we retraced some of the routes, which was very cool, that he used to ride in his truck or drive his truck through. One of them was just a very little narrow bridge that he always told stories about, that it was just room enough for the truck and possibly some furry animal. When that truck went across, usually it was at night, usually it was snowing profusely, and you really didn't know what was beyond the reach of those headlights. So he said there were a couple of could be close calls, but it all worked out. But he said that was always on their mind when they made that passage and that cross, because there was only one way out, and at 30 to 50 miles an hour with a big, heavy truck, there aren't many options. I even got a picture of him standing on that bridge. Nice.
That is very cool. Well, again, to all of you who are listening who have served, thank you again. Puts things in perspective, because when we started the show, we're all sitting here complaining like, man, it's cold out tonight. I mean, here there is 4 inches of snow on the ground. You know, you guys are down into what in the South must be near death, 20s. Whoa.
Not very often down here.
You have to use the heat in the car.
Yeah.
I went to the hardware store today because I have to cover up the pipes and the faucets on the outside. And not that I'm a last minute guy, I'm not on that at all, but I had one that was cracked. So I thought, well, I'll just run up to the hardware store, pick one up. I go up, and there's a sign on the door already. The front hasn't been here 15 minutes, honestly. And there's a big white sign on the door, out of faucet covers, telling you don't even come in the store and ask. So I went around and went to the big box store, which I detest, and went in there, and they had cases and cases and cases and cases of them. So I told one of the salesmen when I was checking out, I said, you need to call the hardware store I was just at and tell them you have plenty of them. You guys can make a profit on some of these. Surely you got 6 or 8 cases they can have. He laughs. I don't know if he did it or not, but...
Bernie's Faucet Update brought to you by Holly, the EFI leader and official air and fuel delivery system of the Kibbe and Friends show.
Speaking of faucets, yeah.
You will hear amazing highlights from our trip to the SEMA show this past week, where I, Bernie, salesman Seth Withers, and not Corndog went to SEMA and got all of the latest and greatest information specifically from Holly, with lots and lots of updates, including some really good man, I wish all the stuff they tell us off the air is the stuff we could put on the air, because what we put on the air is good. What's off the air is the stuff you'll
hear about months from now.
Bite your lip not saying. That is the stuff that we really want to tell you. But what we can tell you is that Holly is the place you should go to get what you need, including if you're looking for the sniper system like you are, Corndog, but you want the stealth look, which they just released right before SEMA. So if you want that sniper system, the all-in-one, that one that you exactly wanted to look like a carburetor, you now can have that.
I keep going to the website and just keep browsing, and the distributor kit that they've got with the module and everything, it's it's a good all-in-one package. I keep looking.
It's the timing control. There are some other throttle body systems out there, and that you can make them work, and they will work with conventional distributor timing. But once you get into like a dual sync and where it truly is all electronically controlled, now you get the whole advantage of fuel injection. Prior to that, you're just relying on the distributor to function like an old distributor, and you will still have weak spots in the fuel injection system. You just will. You can't avoid it. Now you finally get the good stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, I was watching a video on how they set the timing with the distributor. It's got that little clear cap you set, and then it kind of dials itself, and it goes in one spot, and it's all electronically controlled as far as the timing goes. That's a pretty sweet setup.
As soon as we were done recording, we'll tell you everything that they told us not to share. So, speaking of SEMA news, thought we'd give a little recap. Bernie and I went to SEMA. Corn Dog was greatly missed.
You were. Man, I can't wait for you to go. We are going to have the best time.
I've got to start planning today.
Here's a number of things that happened while at SEMA.
Rob got a cold.
Several times.
I'm getting over one.
Me in Vegas, you're supposed to go out there for dry air. Vegas makes me sick. As soon as I get there, I'm hacking and coughing, and I don't feel good. And I got a migraine on Thursday during the day while we were recording, thanks to Vegas. But we went to the MOPAR press release on Tuesday at 4:26 p.m. 4:26, of course, being a reference to 4 in the afternoon, 26 minutes after the hour. Also the 426 Hemi. That is where Dodge debuted their press announcement of the year, which in this case was the Drag Pack. And the Drag Pack are 50 limited edition and ARHA, basically showroom stock drag. That's what I would call it. Parachute equipped, supercharger. It seems like a similar package to me that they released a couple years ago on a different drag race specific Challenger. Obviously Ford has their Mustang, Chevy's got the Copo, Camaro and all that. It was cool. But one thing that we did get to do this year that we've never got to do is we got to interview somebody from MOPAR. And I think we're going to run a brief little 8-minute interview, maybe right here, that features all the crate motors. So this might be as good a place as any to run it. Bernie, does that sound good?
Let's roll it.
Okay, we'll roll it here. We take you now live to the SEMA show floor.
Standing here on Tuesday of SEMA 2019 with Chad Seymour, MOPAR Performance Products Manager. Did I get it right?
That's correct.
Thank you. Hiding in the corner, thank you to Dale for making this work out, amongst crate motors, literally crated, and their motors. This is a neat one for us. We have a pretty heavy MOPAR-based listening audience.
Okay,
national, international. I don't think we've ever officially done an interview here at SEMA. So
perfect.
I'm excited for this. What do you do specifically for MOPAR Dodge?
So I work with the team of engineers and planners and the marketing teams to basically develop and promote and sell performance parts.
Okay.
So I kind of branch across track purpose-built machines like what we're going to be talking about here today, and then as well as the crate engines that we see here in front of you, and then anything else that really enhances the performance of a street car.
Okay.
So primarily the Dodge lineup, we have the SRT Hellcats, the SRT Demon, the SRT Red Eye. Those products I had a pretty strong hand from a planning and product strategy standpoint. So we're continuing to push the envelope on a performance basis. I look for opportunities in the marketplace where we can continue to push the performance envelope.
So when it comes to applications like, well, we're here, so literally crate engine.
Yep.
So we have 4 offerings, and for people listening, when I say it's a crate, this isn't glass, but it's a clear glass-like material.
We wanted to make sure that you could see them.
That each engine is buried inside, and they have the ability to let their exhaust out.
Yes.
Meaning it looks like they run.
Yes, actually, if those who might have been at the show last year, we showcased, actually revealed the 426 Elephant engine. We're actually able to start up these engines in these showcases to really make some noise, so to speak, and really show off really what these engines can do from an audible standpoint. But these are full turnkey solutions, and that's also the intent of showing them here in these glass boxes is the way we sell these, it's a turnkey solution. You don't just get a long block or just an engine. You get the engine. You can also purchase the calibration kit and all the other components to make this a full turnkey solution for whatever you're putting this crate engine into.
Right. So I have a 69 Charger, for example,
Yep.
but it's got a 383 in it,
Yep.
and I like it.
Yep.
But if I wanted to put a 6.2 in it, or
Right.
if I wanted to put a Elephant in it, which
Yep.
would make a lot of sense because of the 426 part,
Right.
of course.
Right.
I assume it's everything I need from stem to stern so that when I hit the key, it should start.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
When it comes to transmission offerings, what do you do there?
So we do have a transmission. We have a manual transmission, crate transmission program, which does offer the ability for a manual transmission to hook up to one of these crate engines.
Yep.
That tends to make it a lot more user-friendly from an installation standpoint.
Yeah.
So that's what we have in the market today, and we're continuing to look at other opportunities for the future.
Okay. The Graveyard Cars vehicle today is the Christine Fury, right?
Yes.
Is that 58?
58.
And that has the Elephant crate motor that I think was here last year, maybe, or was given to Mark for application.
So Mark took the first Elephant crate engine, and he made the decision that he thought it would be really exciting to showcase it into the 58 there. So we were lucky enough to have him showcase that here in our booth today here at SEMA.
That's an interesting application for that much horsepower in a bias-plied tire Dodge, but, cool.
Yeah, it's, if the Christine car, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at kind of the lights, the tail lights, the cluster on it, you'll see the lights kind of flicker off and on like it's possessed. So it's kind of an interesting way to showcase the engine.
I was hoping that was the case, because I like the little details. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I saw some power lines underneath, I hope that's for power for the lights. And I hope, you never want it to kill somebody, but it would be neat if it at least growled at somebody. Just from a crate engine perspective, just kind of put the bow on it.
Yep.
I do get confused between a Scat Pack and a Red Eye car and a Hellcat car, and I don't know which engine goes to which car, because that's usually how I memorize which engine is which.
Yep. So the easy way to remember it is the Scat Pack is really your value performance vehicle. So that has the 6.4 liter engine in it, which is 485 horsepower.
Okay.
So that would be the same as our 392 crate engine
Got it.
program. The Hellcat is the 6.2 liter engine, which is the one sitting right here in front of us. That's a 707 horsepower crate engine program. We do not have a Red Eye crate engine, but the Red Eye is going to be your 797 horsepower engine in the Red Eye. And then, of course, the Elephant. We don't have that in a production car, but that's your 1,000 horsepower 426 supercharged engine. So that's kind of the lineup from bottom to the top. One really neat thing that I don't know if folks are familiar with, but we've been doing the horsepower dollars. Kind of neat if you haven't seen the commercial, where it shows the RPM gauge going up, and it kind of starts with a Scat Pack and goes all the way up to the Red Eye engine.
Oh, yeah?
But it's a nice little incentive program we've got going on right now for our vehicles, so it's kind of a neat way to really showcase that lineup from the 485 horsepower all the way up to 797 horsepower Red Eyes.
Awesome. Clever way to do it.
Yeah.
When it comes to bolt-on parts for new Challenger, new Charger, I see things hanging on the wall over here from brakes to exhaust. I assume that's all part of the bolt-on offering that you would have engineered. So it's not just a part that you resell; it's something you've already.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we have a great team that puts together these packages. Straight from the manufacturer. It's developed by us, the same company that develops the cars, same engineers that develop and engineers and test the vehicles, to ensure that you have a product that has the confidence that we can stand behind and that customers can appreciate. So we offer those, and that's that works in conjunction with the crate engines. So it's a great program.
How did you end up working for Dodge / MOPAR?
Well, long story short, I started actually as an engineer working at Chrysler, through several job transitions, just being very passionate about performance cars, having a strong interest in performance automobiles, and really having that knowledge. Worked my way up through the marketing and sales organization. I worked in the brand for quite a long time, and then transitioned into the role that I am now. It really started with me. It really started with the Challenger, brand manager for the Challenger, and really got to stretch my legs and show what the capabilities are of that vehicle, and got a lot of great performance cars out to market with that platform, and that's kind of what landed me in the position I am now. So.
Good for you. Kevin Hellman, is that somebody you would
Yes.
know? We've come to meet him in recent months.
Yep.
And it sounds like he's in that role today.
He's in that role now, yes.
Yeah, and I told him, and I'll tell you, when you see a non-wide body Challenger, or even now a Charger, they do look a little weird to me. They look kind of naked,
Yeah.
So I could see that being, the best. Do you sell the flares? Like if somebody wanted to make a wide body on their own, could they do it?
We don't, but we're always looking for future opportunities of things that we can do. So if that's
my vote.
I will take that one back.
Okay, very good. Well, hey, thank you for letting us come here.
you.
It's neat to see these. I assume they all carry a warranty of some kind?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. One thing with MOPAR, of course, is it's from the factory, right? So it does have a warranty. Our P-part performance parts, it's a little bit different than the regular warranty programs that are out there. For the rest of the parts, Like, for example, the Elephant engine does not have a warranty, but the rest of the Crate engines do.
Sure.
They have a full warranty. The reason behind that was really it's a 1,000 horsepower engine. We really wanted to make sure that we understood how that performed in the marketplace before we went any further with that program.
I would think we're all realists here.
Yeah,
It's 1,000 horsepower.
It's 1,000 horsepower, yeah.
You're probably going to do terribly stupid things with it, so
I wasn't going to say
so
it, but
knock
thank
yourself
you,
out.
yes.
So, you know. Well, Chad, again, really enjoyed it. And Dale, thank you for setting this up. Alrighty?
All right, thank you.
And we are back. What a magical trip that was. Corn Dog, did you enjoy
great
Vegas?
sound effects.
Yes. Now, because Corn Dog is not a drinker, obviously after that interview and after we heard the press release, we went up to the bar. They have a bar right there after they give you all this.
Say.
Yeah. And it's got a pistol grip tapper. That's not a joke. I have a picture. I also have a picture of the number of cups Bernie was holding that were empties. A significant number of empties.
Well, I'll qualify that those empties were yours and mine together, but I won't tell you the ratio of whose were whose.
Well, here's what else was in the MOPAR booth. So this was to give people kind of the picture of what you missed at SEMA this year. Chances are you didn't miss much thanks to the way that SEMA is now covered. The emphasis on getting as much information out in real life time is pretty obvious. So Instagram was probably littered with SEMA information, but this year was really the year of the Overlander. So these are off-road equipped vehicles that are supposed to go overland, meaning leave road. So back in the day when you had a pickup truck, you'd put a camper topper on top, you know, like the little ones, like a little bed and a little fridge and a little porta-john, and there you go. That's your Overlander. These are the modern day equivalents. So you got lift kits, big wheel and tire, that you expect. But you also have double-decker, tent-equipped, full rigs. Dodge had a Ram Rebel, totally equipped for this. They had a few different Jeeps. There was every Toyota under the sun that you can think of. But the other Dodge products that we saw there, well, Jeep products in this case, were the Gladiators. Didn't they have a Scrambler that had kind of the old style Scrambler livery on it? Mm-hmm. And then they had, and this is the one I just don't have the name of, but it's a 2-door Gladiator. So we've gone totally old school. It's a standard cab truck. That was the debut. Like, we got a standard cab truck. Looks like a Gladiator.
Wow.
It's got a basically unusable bed, and it was the darling of the show. There were Gladiators absolutely everywhere. So that was there. We met Dave Ray, right, from Graveyard Cars, or formerly from Graveyard Cars.
Yeah.
Got his card. He said, "Hi, Corn Dog." He said, "You are missed." Then we met Clay McMillan, Top Fuel NHRA driver. Turns out he listens to our show, and his first car was a General Lee.
That's awesome.
Talked to him for over an hour.
Yeah, what a great conversation. That was just one of those things that you really wish would happen more often, even in a setting like that, where you can really sit down and get to know the people and solidify what you already know, that all car people are car people and they're real people. Mm-hmm. They put their shoes on one shoe at a time, and they are just real, and they don't mind sharing and just telling you how it is. I love that. Clay, thank you for that time. That was just awesome.
He specifically said, "Where is Corn Dog?" We said, "Corn Dog's not coming." So again,
you tell him I was too good for it?
Yes. We said, "You were not willing to blow your money on SEMA." He was crushed.
I've got car parts to buy.
And you missed the whole story, not making this up, of his first car, which was a 69 Charger that was green, that had a 383 and 273 rear gears, I believe he said, that he painted orange, like a Mako Earl Scheib job. And this was back in the day. This was pre-internet. This was pre-looking anything up. The guy put the numbers on just based on how he thought they should look. Yeah. His first pass down a track to race was in the General Lee. Today, he is awesome. Top Fuel NHRA driver. And in 2005, during the Dukes of Hazzard movie, he actually ran 0-1 on the side and flipped his car.
That must be some sort of record, because he crossed the finish line on his lid in reverse. Clay Milliken, and of course the Dukes of Hazzard painted car, definitely went for a ride.
It was carried the Dukes of Hazzard movie sponsorship. Anyway, Corn Dog, you were missed. Then, what else did we do, Bernie? Well, we had a steak dinner. Remember that?
Yeah, we had a great steak dinner. I went through a pair of socks, technically. One day I came home, back, and took the shoes off, and the socks had a hole in them. That's how much walking we did that day. They weren't brand new socks, so if you go to SEMA, bring brand new socks, bring 2 pairs of shoes. You will use them, and you will use them all.
I think that Seth Withers, our intrepid salesman, actually did have a step counter. We did over 10 miles per day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was no doubt about that. Coming back to that steak dinner, I'm going somewhere with this.
Hey, I tell you what, you can take a good look at a butcher's ass by sticking your head up there, but wouldn't you rather take his word for it?
What? I'm failing to make the connection here, son.
No, I mean, you can get a good look at a T-bone by sticking your head up a butcher's ass, but then, no, it's got to be your bull.
It does have to be your bull. We went to dinner with the Hulls. Taylor Hull and his wife, Tamara. Taylor's a pro drifter. He decided a few months ago, I assume with his wife and several other people, that the best way to make a promotional video as a professional drifter is a spoof of the Dukes of Hazzard with his, is it a dart or a duster?
I want to say it was a duster.
A duster with a 5.3 LS. They ripped off the Dukes of Hazzard. I hope that the Warner Brothers doesn't hear this exact segment, because it was very nice, and they asked if I would like to do some of the voiceover part for the balladeer part, so I did. And I think at one point I specifically said they didn't rip off the Dukes of Hazzard, but they did. And it, you will enjoy.
We were just going by the script.
I may have inserted one. I don't remember. Worth doing, and if they ask again, we'll do it again. But we went to the dinner with the Hulls. It was me, it was Bernie, and eating corn dogs steak was our intrepid salesman, Seth Withers.
And it was good, baby.
You were missed. Man, we had a good time with them. What fun people. Yeah. This is a whole era of people walking away from SEMA this year. You know, whenever we got to introduce ourselves and talk to people, once you start talking to somebody, especially over 30, you realize how many people on the SEMA show floor who are a part of the aftermarket were influenced by the Dukes of Hazzard as a kid. Taylor Hall was one of them, the guys from Two Guys Garage. Kyle Tucker from Detroit Speed specifically told me I have scars because of what I tried to do that I saw in the Dukes of Hazzard. It was a really neat time at SEMA, but we have lots and lots of interviews that you'll hear in Muscle Car Place over the next few weeks. But Corn Dog, you were genuinely missed, so just want you to plan for this for next year.
Just twisted in my side a little bit more.
Did you tell him about the rave party we went to?
It wasn't really a rave.
No, we didn't stay long enough to see if it really was or not, but it was sure starting that way. It was looking that way.
Roadster Shop throws a cool party. When Bernie saw the dancing girls, he blew his stack.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
What?
Wow.
He thought he was in the wrong part of Vegas, didn't he?
This is awesome.
They had dancing girls.
Right part of Vegas.
All they do is dance. They're
go girls, you know.
They're not doing anything other than just, like, well, we can either have a poster or we can have this girl just dance. So we'll do that. 2 of them. It was very fun. Yeah. Roadster Shop had a full party that really kind of covered everything after the formal SEMA dinner. And they had a best on RS. Everybody was on a Roadster Shop chassis, and then the best on the rest. And they kind of awarded all these different builders. And that was really, really fun. But overall, really fun SEMA. We did run into Wyotech at SEMA. If you've heard some of the Wyotech discussions that we've had here, you have been telling Wyotech that, so thank you for that. If you haven't heard the Wyotech interview, go back over to Muscle Car Place, episode 405. Make sure you listen through that. We're maybe going to have a student, maybe even a faculty member on here in Christmas time just to talk about that. But a lot of people at SEMA have been through Wyotech, and they have joined our network, so we appreciate them doing that for sure. Do you guys want to hear a joke?
Lay it on us.
Okay. This has nothing to do with Wyotech, and this is an oldie, but I just really liked it, and I thought we needed, a little bit of filler here, so this is Men versus Women, How to Change Oil. Okay? Women. Step 1, pull up to a Jiffy Lube or a Valvoline instant oil change when the mileage reaches 3,000 miles since the last oil change. Step number 2, drink a cup of coffee while the oil is changed. Step number 3, 15 minutes later, write a check and leave with a properly maintained vehicle. Total cost $29.99 plus $2 for the coffee. Total $31.99. With me so far?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Makes sense. Men, step number 1, wait until it's Saturday, first of all. Drive to the auto parts store, buy a case of oil, an oil filter, kitty litter, hand cleaner. Don't forget a tree air freshener. Write a check to the auto parts store for somewhere around $50. Step number 2, stop by a Quick Trip on the way home. Buy a case of beer, $20. Step number 3, drive home with the oil and the beer. Step number 4, have a beer. Enjoy it. If it works. Step 5, spend 30 minutes looking for the jack stands. Step number 6, find the jack stands. They are under your kid's pedal car. Jack the car up. Step number 7, have another beer while you're at it. Just, took a while. Step number 8, place a drain pan under the engine. Step number 9, look for a 9/16" box end wrench for the drain plug. Step 10, you can't find the wrench. Forget it. Get a crescent wrench. That's fine. Step number 11, unscrew the drain plug. Step number 12, drop the drain plug into the pan of hot oil. Splash hot oil on your hands and face in the process. Cuss and swear. Step 13, crawl out from under the car, wipe hot oil from your hands and face. Throw some kitty litter on the spilled oil. Step number 14, take a quick break, open another beer, and watch the rest of the oil drain out. You're pretty much there already. No problem. Step 15, spend 30 minutes looking for the oil filter wrench because you never put it away in the same spot. Step 16, give up looking for the wrench. Just get a hammer and a flathead screwdriver and you'll get it off the old-fashioned way. Step 17, crawl out from under the car, splashing hot oil everywhere from newly made holes in the oil filter. You guys see where I'm going with this? Step 18, cleverly hide used oil in the trash to avoid those pesky environmental penalties. While you're waiting, have another beer. Step 19, install the new oil filter, making sure to apply a thin coat of oil to the gasket. Never want to miss that step. Step number 20, pour the first quart of new oil to the engine. Step 21, crap, you didn't put the drain plug in. Remember step 11? Go back and put that in. It's now swimming in the warm oil drain pan. That's where the plug is. Step 22, more kitty litter on the floor where you put the new quart of oil. Step 23, take a break, have a beer. Step 24, find the drain plug with minimum spillage. Hand tighten the oil plug in the socket. Have another beer. Step 25, crawl under the car. Tighten the drain plug with a crescent wrench, but this time it's too slippery. Bang your knuckles on the frame. Scrape them while tightening the drain plug. Step 26, throw the crescent wrench across the garage in anger. Throw a fit because crescent wrench hits your bowling trophy, which your wife wouldn't let you put in the house. Made you put in the garage. Step 27, take a quick break. Have a beer. Think this through. Step 28, clean your hands, bandaging where they need because of the blood. Step 29, pour in 5 quarts of fresh oil. Still with me, fellas? Still there? Mm-hmm. Step 30, lower the car from the jack stand, smile at your handiwork, open another beer and drink it. Step 31, move the car back to discover the oil puddles. Oh no, you missed some. Apply more kitty litter in the affected areas. Step 32, test drive the car to make sure the oil doesn't leak. Step number 3, you got pulled over a block from your house by the local police and you are hammered. you were just arrested for a DUI. Step 34, call your loving wife and a bail bondsman. Step 35, the next day, get your car out of the impound yard. We're done. Total cost for parts, $50. Total cost for the beer, $20. Impound fee, $75. Bail, $1,500. DUI, $2,500 minimum. Total charge, $4,145. But priceless because you know the job was done right.
That's right.
That's right.
We've all been there.
That's right.
This came up because I have not changed the oil in my truck. I actually used the little light in there when it tells you what the percentage is. Like, It's been blinking for the last 2 weeks. Like, change oil now. Change oil now. So I punched over to see what the percentage was, and it's 0.
It's time.
With that truck, I hate changing oil at home. I don't. I actually go through the quick lube place and I just have them do it.
I do it myself.
I did it once or twice and got the obligatory, you hear all the stories, but it actually happened. Usually it's the oil plug and the oil pan is stripped. I didn't get that one. I did get the oil filter was on so tight that blasting caps had to be used to get it off. And that was it.
Was that a name brand franchise?
It was a name brand franchise.
Was it rhyme with like a peanut butter brand?
I won't say. So if little Timmy doesn't know how to even read the oil filter to know how to put it on, then I don't need that. It's going to be too tight this time. It's going to be too loose the next time. And then I'm going to be right back into step 35 and we'll go from there.
And then you get the strip threads on the oil pan, and then you get to put oil or helicoil on it, and it's just a headache.
That's the one thing that was in here is like you didn't install a helicoil, like because it eventually everybody has got there, like when you snug it in, because you want to make sure it's snug, right? And then you go just
the oil filter was so tight. Here's how tight it was. It was so tight,
Brady?
It's a hard reach anyway. You only get like a quarter turn on the wrench if you get the cup wrench on it anyway. You don't get much turn. So it wasn't coming. It started slipping on the little bumpy things on the filter, so it stripped that. So cleaned it off, tried it with rubber gloves and hand, see if I could do it like that, just see if I could get it moved, tight or otherwise. Nothing. On down the line, we'll skip a few steps. I went to the screwdriver method. Put the screwdriver through it, up sufficient height, to the screwdriver tore the case. It was so tight. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was some combination of the screwdriver in another hole at another angle and or something else. I had 2 or 3 implements, and I finally got it off. I was unhappy.
Boy, we are out of sync here. A full week at SEMA. Every time something was said that was slightly inappropriate, Bernie would say, like, if you'd say, "Hey, who's got the shifter?" You say, "Shifter? I hardly knew her." And then, like, you'd say, "Hey, you want to get some coffee?" "Coffee? I hardly knew her." It was his favorite joke of the week.
You keep laughing, I'll keep tossing.
I'm now questioning the encouraging that I've been giving you. Celica? I hardly knew her. I mean, it was anything.
Dinner time.
That's what she said.
That is what she said.
She said that.
A couple of neat things that I did want to mention from our last show, though, the one that we ran the week of SEMA, we had Cale McCrowski on. I believe that was his last name. I don't know if you got to hear that interview with Corn Dog, but he was the young man that built the model of the General Lee, Back to the Future General Lee. That was so neat. We got contacted by our man, Mark Bradley, movie set designer, all that. Does all the work for Cooter's Garage. He reached out and said, I would like to contact Cale to get him some extra tools, some tools of the trade that might help him in his endeavors. And I think Mark was going to do that direct. So just want to thank Mark for doing that. What a nice thing to do. That kind of creativity is what that's what it's all about.
When I was listening to that interview, it reminded me so much of when I was about that age and I was sitting in my room or whatever, building model cars, and I was doing the same thing. But luckily for him, you've got the internet where you can do a little bit more research. And for me, it was just a matter of you had to go look in car magazines or whatever. And, the availability of stuff wasn't quite there. But yeah, it made me flash back to when I was about that age, building model kits and taking a piece of this one and a piece of that one and just kind of combining them and just making up whatever you imagined. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I built a lot of model cars as a kid. I was so impatient that many times that I would just get them together and then I would kind of move on. I never really cross-pollinated kits, though. If I bought a Chevelle kit, I'd make a Chevelle. I would not get another model for 6 months. And then by that point, I would have lost the Chevelle box. So I'd make whatever the new one was. I did make many General Lees. The most custom one I made was my I think it was 1/16 scale General Lee. That one, I tried to go all out. I was in 6th grade at the time, but I tried to make it pretty TV screen correct.
And you can only do so much with that kit because it's built around a Grand National stock car chassis and all that. So you can't really make it super accurate, but
always loved that model. I've always wanted to build that car for real. Coming back from SEMA, and seeing all the off-roaders, I really am inspired to build a pre-runner version of the General Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Something with long travel shocks, something that's basically a dune buggy or something like that with a Charger body on it. I want to fly and survive. I really am inspired to do that. That would be
like the one on the episode, but like the realistic one, not just a
jacked up Charger with hogged out fenders. Yes,
right.
That would be.
You want the real deal.
But you do models because you're young and you don't have a ton of money. That's your way to be creative. But speaking of money, you want to know a good way to have more money, fellas? Watch this segue right here. You can have more money by saving money on the things that you have to spend money upon. I'll give you an example. Food. You could save money on food.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Home insurance. I'm just throwing this out there. But if you're a homeowner, did you know that it is tough at times to find the right home insurance coverage? Do you guys know this?
I've heard that, yes.
And you might have had the same carrier for years on your home. Never, ever making a claim. Just knowing it was there, keeping you comfortable, safe. The idea of replacing that policy would seem exhausting. Never even check on it. And then when you go take a look, the rates have crept up over the years. Why? Because they want your money. That's why. And that's where the insurance experts at Policygenius come in, because they don't think that getting the best home insurance should be complicated. That is why they reimagine the entire process. Now, this whole idea of saving money, this is best exemplified by our man Corn Dog. I have an example. As you know, Corn Dog sticks to what works. The last good car, in Corn Dog's opinion, was made in 1974. Truth? Truth. Anything after that, Corn Dog says, is just messing up something that it was already good. However, as we all know, Corn Dog recently died and was reborn, as explained in a previous Policygenius ad. His wife decided that having the right kind of coverage in place on their home was now essential, because after he undied from the life insurance fiasco, she had to give it all back. So, time to make some money. But then she started digging into some expenses, and she realized how much Corn Dog had been dropping on such things as vintage magazines, vintage radios, vintage toilet paper, vintage MOPAR air, vintage tires, vintage random radios, vintage newspapers, vintage television sets, vintage used pinball machine parts, vintage over-the-counter expired medicines, looking the other way on that one, vintage other weird things that he did not need in the slightest, but that he thought would be worse someday because, she just decided that it would be better to trust him, but also to go over his head and contact Policygenius herself to save some money. And what luck! While she was at it, she chose to bundle home and auto, which worked out pretty good. Because did you know, guys, Policygenius has saved their customers an average of 690 bones per year on home and auto insurance.
Did you write this on the plane?
No, did that off the top of my head.
No, you didn't.
Did.
No.
Yeah.
True story.
It is all true. Bernie, how can people move forward with this wonderful offer to save some money by making some money?
I can't top a story like that. I can't. I will tell you that Policygenius will help you compare your policy against more than 10 insurance companies all at the same time to make sure that you're getting the best home insurance coverage at the best possible price. Boy, that takes a load off, doesn't it? If there's a better rate out there, they're going to do all the heavy lifting to get you switched. What does that mean? That means you can spend more time on the couch, mourning Corn Dog, and then rejoicing that Corn Dog is back alive again. Policygenius, homeowners, life auto insurance, great rates. Remember when we used to call on the phone and get rates?
Yeah.
You call insurance company after insurance company after insurance company and get rates. Hey, rate guy, take a hike. Policygenius.com.
Corn Dog, you still alive?
I am.
Great.
I'm still here.
Corn Dog, what is the call to action? The section of this that is mandatory. The part where people really need to know what to do to get their money.
So whether you need home insurance for a new place or you just want to reshop your current policy, head to policygenius.com today. You can get started on your smartphone right now. Policygenius, the easy way to compare and buy home insurance.
Way to go, man.
Awesome. I'm alive and well.
No fooling. We got some nice notes from Policygenius. We know that you're doing the little extra step right at the end when you go to get these things, and you fill out your survey and you say that you heard it on the Kibbe and Friends show. That is the one and only way that we get credit for these. If you don't do that, no matter if you buy it or not, we only get credit if you put our name on the survey, and you have been, so kick ass. Thank you. No fooling. That's the kind of thing that keeps a show like this alive. Personal fan support. Corndog knows what it's like to be alive. He was previously dead. Thank you.
We missed you.
Thank you
in
again.
that storm. Remember the storm?
It was bad, man. Mm-hmm. But she looked at your picture sitting on the dresser. I knew he was the man for me.
That's right.
That's what she said. Should we get to I hardly know. Should we get to the Dukes of Hazzard review, everybody? How's this sound?
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm.
This is Season 4, Episode 23, Bad Day in Hazard. Been a while since we've done a Dukes of Hazzard review. In fact, I'd be willing to do another Tommy Boy review. I love that so much. But we'll be back to the Dukes of Hazzard. Written again by William Rayner and Miles Wilder. Same writing duo as in the previous episode. Get this, directed by Gabrielle Beaumont. Now, as far as I know, this is the first episode of the Dukes of Hazzard directed by a woman. Gabrielle Beaumont was born on April 7th, 1942 in London, England. As Gabrielle Amanda Beaumont, she is a director and producer known for Remington Steele, Hill Street Blues, and L.A. Law. I believe we've had some female writers before, but this is the first time we've actually had a female director. So cool. Original air date, March 5th, 1982. We are in nearly the end of Season 4. And you know that Season 5 starts a dark time in the Dukes of Hazzard. Well, great in stunts, not so great in other areas. Corndog, did you see this episode?
I did. I really didn't remember this episode very much. You know, it's not like Happy Birthday General Lee or Carnival of Thrills. It's just, you know, those you just remember and you can almost quote them line by line. I had seen this episode before, but it was a very long time since I'd seen it. And I actually really, really enjoyed it because I couldn't remember exactly how the storyline went. And so it was kind of
like a new one.
It was a simple storyline, but they just kind of stuck with, and they, you know, there wasn't too much fluff in there. I really enjoyed it, even though it wasn't a ton of stunts. I mean, you had 2 cop car jumps and you had a General Lee jump, but I think all of that was recycled footage anyway. I don't really remember this, but you may have this in your notes a little bit later on. But MC Gainey, do you know, remember him?
Certainly.
He played Peters, and you know, this is the only episode that he was in during the TV series, but in 2005, you know, he got the role for Rosco P. Coltrane. But when you look at him on this episode versus the 2005, they look totally different. I mean, he almost looks like he could be like a brother of like Christopher Reeves or whatever. You know, he was about that age.
He's
real
a
young,
handsome, you know, actor in his prime. In this
Not
one,
today.
Not today. No, and you know, by the time he gets to Con Air, he's been road rough, put away.
Yeah.
He doesn't look nearly as good. And yeah, when he's playing Rosco P. Coltrane, he's probably carrying another 30 to 40 pounds.
Yeah,
lost quite a bit of hair. His skin is no longer Hollywood smooth. I mean, it's
little side story or whatever. When I was there on the set, when they were jumping the car in the 2005 movie, when they jumped the car on the town square, it was him and Richie Montgomery, who also played one of the deputies. They were both walking around the set. I was too busy focused on the cars and the stunt setup and all that. And so the two of them were walking around. I didn't even have a clue who they were. And they were actually not big roles, but they had, you know, roles in the movie. I just casually walked past them many times and didn't even think twice of it. And another thing that's odd is the two of them, they were both, you know, in the original TV series, but they're also from here in Mississippi. Richie Montgomery's from Natchez, Mississippi, and MC Gainey's from Jackson. So,
well, here's the summary of this particular episode. Again, this is an episode like you that I have seen. I remembered most of it, and I was so rushed in preparing for this that I kind of clipped through it, but every scene, like, I could instantly remember something. There were a few takeaways that I get, but here's the summary of it. Bad guy plans a almost Ocean's 11-like bank heist to rob an armored car shipment coming to Boss Hogg's bank. It is precision planned. He's got people. He's scoped the town of Hazzard. He knows that there's several people that he has to get out of action for this to go well. Obviously, he's got to get Boss Hogg and Rosco P. Coltrane out of action, but he also has to get the Duke family out of action because they are the do-gooders. So the episode starts with Bo and Luke getting basically run down by the bad guys, but at the wrong time. That wasn't supposed to happen then. That did not go according to plan. So Bo and Luke had to get thrown into effectively prison, which in this case is the Boar's Nest, a little on the early side. Boss and Rosco are thrown in after that. The Dukes don't handle this well because they're like wild animals when they're put in a cage. The only place they want is out. So they spend most of their time breaking away, and then the bad guy, who is played by actor, Hollywood veteran, I looked it up, Tim O'Connor, something in there. He's not a name or a face that you're going to recognize super well. But if you are a historian of 70s TV shows, 80s TV shows, I think he was on Buck Rogers. He's on a number of, maybe Fantasy Island. He kind of has that characteristic bad guy face. He kind
of looks like a mobster. He could play a mobster if you wanted to.
Thin, skinny. He ends up portraying Boss Hogg in this. And that was the other takeaway. So you got MC Gainey in here, who is Rosco. And then you have this guy who portrays and fakes playing Boss Hogg. And he's a tall, skinny Boss Hogg. That will come back in the Dukes of Hazzard movie as well. Anyway, long story short, he does successfully rob the armored car shipment. But unfortunately for him, the Dukes break out, and the Dukes do what they always do. They kill him. No, of course. They stop him, and they right the wrongs, and everything moves forward. There's a few different good lines in here that I really liked. One that I pulled away, just because I'm soft to hear, I kind of liked the one that we had about the General Lee. This comes up from Wayland. So all the Duke clan is hidden inside of the Boar's Nest at this point. They're all trapped. And then this line comes up.
With Luke back in Thackeray's hands, it's beginning to look like there's only one Duke left to stop the hijacking of that armored car. General Lee. General Lee? Reckon what he's doing here?
I don't know. I remember as a kid just thinking, their dog's going to come save them.
Yeah.
Always liked it when you just got more affirmation that the car is also a character and beloved, all that. This is a good episode. Here are my short takeaways. Then I have a little game for you. There's a really cool special effect in here, maybe at right around the 45-minute mark when General Lee is chasing the armored car. They shoot his door handle off.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's a good stunt because it doesn't look like somebody just had a string and popped it off. It truly looks like it's almost burned off, like bam, right. It flies off. They shoot up the windshield quite a bit. Another thing in here, the general gets hurt bad. Like the passenger side fender gets real dinged up. The rear quarter really bad. And they actually continuity keep this as part of the storyline. They make a note of it, and they repair the car at the end and put that into the actual ending credits. I'm so blown away by it, I grabbed that too.
The Armored Car Company was so grateful to the boys that they bought a brand spanking new uniform for the general. So that's a bodywork and paint job.
And in this scene, this is the closing credits, like they slide the car up, and I think Bo gets out, and he comes right over to the fender, and he's looking how nice and perfect it is.
Yeah.
Most episodes, they beat the bejesus out of the car, and then it's fine in the next scene, and it's never explained. The next scene. But for some reason, they did do that here. I thought that was kind of unique.
That's extra mini bonus points because of that from me.
Here's a little parallel. I love the Boss Hogg stuff at the end with the big box of candy. I mean, this is a very kitsch show. Everybody's playing their role. It's always the same, Duke's introduced, something bad happens, car jumps, problem solved. That's the type of thing. But I liked all the acting. I've been listening to the Office Ladies podcast, and in that show, they have continuity throughout the series. So if something happens in the third episode with one of the characters, if you learn something about one of those characters, that stays throughout the remainder of the series. So if you learn that one of them had a sister or something, that could be referred to 3 seasons later. I don't think that's ever the case really in the Dukes of Hazzard. There's only a few times where they ever reference another episode. Mm-hmm. But if they did, this would be one of the facts that they would put in what would be called a show Bible. The Boar's Nest was once a warehouse with a secret tunnel underneath it. And that is where Boss Hogg hid his whiskey in his moonshine running days. And the way that the Dukes get away from the bad guy in here is that Bo and Luke get thrown into the storeroom of the boar's nest, which was a warehouse that has a tunnel underneath it. I like facts like that. I wish they would hold continuity in this show. They never do.
Right.
Every episode is basically meant to be standalone. Like you could watch one and really never know anything. But I thought that was a really, really cool fact. So I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. I have not really a game for you, but a test to give you. Prior to doing that, what's your rating of Corn Dogs of Yourself for this episode?
Like I said, I really enjoyed the storyline. It was, even though it wasn't a ton of stunts, the storyline worked good. The continuity, that was a big plus for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a little bit different from the norm. It wasn't like a safe episode, what I've been calling some of them here lately. So I actually give this one about a 9.
Ooh, high praise.
That's pretty good.
Wow, high praise.
Wow. Corn Dog going over the wire.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 9 as well. I'm giving it a 9 for the continuity, for the balls to, not the balls, the shock of acknowledging that the car got hurt and they fixed it at the end. And it's not that that's a big deal, but they actually did it for once. So way to go.
Yeah,
nice.
That's really
It was
nice.
a change of pace of what they've been doing as of lately.
Ladies and gentlemen, the experts agree.
This is a 9er.
Niner.
Walkie talkie.
9er.
Okay, here's the test. I pulled some audio clips from in here. You know, I've got a season 2 generally right now. There's one thing that I haven't figured out how to do yet. You know, I'm going to put the Holley fuel injection on there. Eventually, I'll probably run a stroker kit like from 440 Source. I want to do all that stuff. I really, though, I want the engine to sound like the sound effects in here. I don't know what the sound effects are, but I'm going to play you. I'm going to make the claim to you that there are 6 distinct General Lee sound effects. So I'm going to play one for you, and you got to tell me what the car is doing in that scene. Okay? I'll bet you can do this. So here is the first one. Right here. Now that particular little we've heard that many, many times. What is it doing right there?
It sounded like it was coming around a curve, downshifting, going through the curve, and then going back through the gears as it pulls away.
Is it on the road or is it going over land?
That one's going to be off-road.
Correct. Right there.
I heard gravel.
Yeah.
Listen for the whenever it's like crossing a river or anything like that. All right, that is sound effect number 1. Sound effect number 2. What is the General doing in this scene? So common. You've heard that a million times.
Yeah.
What's it doing?
That's just typical drive-by.
Flying by. Yep.
Yeah.
2 for 2. That is a flyby sound. Let's see if we can trip you up with this one. What is this one? That's a toughie. I had to clip this one a little short. I'm going to try it again. What's that one sound like?
That one sounds like it's on pavement.
I
don't know.
Can be. You'll hear this. Now, I'll give you a little hint. Is the car possibly changing direction?
Yeah, it does, because you hear more engine first and then you hear exhaust.
This is typically the 180 slide sound effect.
Okay.
When it comes to a full 180 and goes the other way. In this particular scene, it was a misused sound effect and the car was just kind of barely turning to the right. That is a very, very common one. Okay.
It would be on dirt because there was no pavement. There was no tire squeal.
It's usually on dirt. And I think there was one scene where they did put it on asphalt, but they didn't mean to. They didn't mean to. How about this one? What's it doing right there?
That would sound like a drive-by as well.
Bing! 2 for 2. It actually, I have it labeled flyby number 2. So to give you flyby number 1, here's the first one. Now here's this one. For a while, I thought the second one was just the first one sped up at a higher pitch, but it's not. They're 2 different things.
It sounds like the camera's actually a little bit further, or the microphone or whatever is a little bit further away from the car on the second one. It sounds closer on the first one.
Mm-hmm. This one, I want you to tell me where you would be to hear the sound in this manner. Okay? Where would you be standing, sitting, watching something?
It's interior.
Yep. Bing! It's even labeled interior. man. We'll do it again. And I would try to kill it before the voice had at the end, but that's what I want it to sound inside of my car. Yeah. That's the sound I want to hear. It doesn't sound like that at all. It sounds like a MOPAR right now. I want it to sound like that. Okay. This one ought to do it, though. Just based upon how this starts, you should know how it's going to end.
Yep. Jump.
Yep. See?
Yep.
There you go. That is my case. So you are 6 for 6. I claim to you that there are 6 unique but related generally sound effects. There's the 2 flybys, the 180 slide, the interior, and the jump. I really want to know, before the final episode of Kibby and Friends, whether that's next week, hopefully not,
or 10 years from now,
depending on how many Policygenius ads that we sell, may dictate quite a bit of this. By the way, Holly, Illuma Trailers and WowTech, proud to know you. That is what I really want to know. I want to know what those sound effects are from. And I'm taking them from these kind of common area, the season 3, season 4. We hear these sound effects till the end of the series. In the early ones, you'd hear a little bit of different stuff. You'd hear stuff that you would hear in the movie Bullet. Like in Bullet, you'll hear the same sound effect of the Mustang, especially with the 4-speed fake sound effect. Mm-hmm. You'll hear that in probably the first season of Dukes of Hazzard. Every now and then you'll hear the car pull away and it sounds like a manual. Those are the early season sounds. It's these that I really want, like this one. That's such a common sound. That's what I want it to sound like when it goes by. And on the inside, I want to hear. I just want to know what that is.
It's got a little bit of a gurgling, sounds like headers, and it almost sounds like they're getting glass packs because it's got a little bit of a popping, gurgling sound to it.
Here's the thing, like all small block Chevys, regardless of muffler, have a common note to them, unless they got crazy cam or something like that. You can park an LS and a Gen 1 350 right next to each other and you know exactly which is which. It's very obvious. Same with a small block Ford. They have a totally different growl. Same with a big block Mopar. The 383 in my car sounds like the 440 that I've heard in another car. They sound the same. A big block Ford, totally different. It's none of these. I really want to know what this is. Is it a Pontiac? Is it an Oldsmobile? What is it? What is it that has made this up? So I would like you, Corn Dog, to solve this for me because you've solved everything else. So please solve this. I want to know.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder, is, the engines that would have come in a 68, 69 Charger, if it was a small block, there was no performance, small block. But for the 68, 69 Charger, the crew has been known to pull engines out and put like a 340 in it, which would be a performance engine. So, if it wraps up pretty quick, it may be a small block, but like the interior sound, it kind of sounds 383-ish,
I guess I always assumed that whoever did the sound and mix editing used what they liked and may have never pulled audio from a car on the show at all. That's my running assumption. I want to find out who did the sound and mix editing, and I want to ask them if they can tell us, unless it was just, like we use here, Bernie, like stock music, licensefreemusic.com and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. The reason I pulled all this is on the way home, I watched episode 100 of Roadkill on the Motor Trend app. I am a subscriber. And was it a dart or a dust or whatever they did to do their drag race thing at the end? As Freiberger was going down the strip, I thought for just a second it was this. I thought just briefly I could hear it. And then I played it again and I really mashed the headphones and it's not. It's not the same thing. I just got to know. I got to know. Again, before Kibby and Friends 2000 or 129, whenever the last day is, whenever we turn off the lights on this baby, I want to know what those sound effects are. So if you have any connections, if you're listening to a sound mix editor back from the show, from the production days, we should have enough people here to pull that together somehow between all the connections. Jack Gill, somebody help us figure this out.
That would be interesting to find out, because normally you don't hear from the sound people. You'll hear from the stunt crew and the actors, of course, and all that, but the people that's a little bit further down the line, you don't ever hear from. Mm-hmm. So that would be interesting. End of quest. That is what I want. I'm going to search IMDb for the next 3 hours and see if I can get to the bottom of this. But no fooling. That would be the great. Can you imagine what it would be like to drive in General Lee and sounding like the General Lee? Oh, it'd just be heaven, right?
What exhaust is on your car now?
It had glass packs when I got it, and it actually sounded like it does now, just glass packier version of it. Now it has long turbos, Dynamax long turbos. It's a very mellow sound. It's a nice car to drive right now. The car is so long that the exhaust is 8 miles away from you, and it runs all the way out, up over the axle, all the way back. And it's the long turbos, again, because the car is so long. When I first did my Chevelle, I ran short turbos, but the mufflers themselves it might be 2 feet long.
Is it 2.5 inch or what is it?
2.5 inch. So it's a hooker header, super comp. An 1 7/8 inch primaries into a 3-inch collector, and then it's 2.5 inch exhaust all the way to the tailpipes.
Originally that car would have had a 2 1/4 inch, and I almost wonder if the 2 1/4 may make it pop a little bit more. It's a little bit more back pressure.
It may. It's definitely time to recam it and probably re-gear it. I don't regret that 323s that were in the rear end were in such good shape. It was a shame not to use them.
Yeah, and that's a good gear too.
I don't need to run 120 miles an hour. I need 0 to 80.
If you're going to clear the river, you need to.
I'm not concerned about hitting 120. I think the gears that are in it would help. If I had the horsepower, we could hit the 130 mark or something like that. But,
man, I'd say to get close, take those glass packs and pour some salt water down them. Let them sit for a month or so. Heat them up in the oven, dry it all out, put them on, and see how close you are.
What?
Oh, my God, really?
He doesn't have glass packs anymore. He's at turbos now.
I know. That's why I said, do it off the car, take the glass packs, pour some salt water in them, right? Follow me so far. Muffler,
them out.
Pour them in.
Okay.
Let them sit. Let them rust up real good. Deteriorate the steel in there and, damage that packing if there's any left.
Oh, they're gone, Bernie.
Who throws away glass packs?
I do. I hate them.
Oh, my.
They died.
That may have been your key to your ultimate goal.
They are long gone. Sawzalled the old exhaust off. It is gone.
Well, I understand that. But
no, they were welded in. The exhaust that was on it was actually relatively new, but it was all welded together, and it all came out.
Unbelievable.
This concludes yet another fantastic second to the last episode of Kippy and Friends. Man, it's been a good run. Thank you again to Illuma Trailers for your support thus far.
Do you think that there are environmental muffler people who cry when they hear that?
All lightweight aluminum trailers made right here in Iowa. Check out illuma.com. Make sure you tell them that we sent you. No, there's no muffler police.
Well, not police, but like when you kill a whale, people cry, and when you throw away mufflers, especially glass packs, people cry.
Tell you what, I'll go back to the landfill or the scrapyard or wherever they ended up. I don't remember. Get them back out, ship them to you.
They probably sound better now that they've been sitting out. That's my point.
Don't you have Flowmasters? You like your Flowmasters, right?
I do, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about yours.
On the Chevelle, it has MagnaFlows, and they are awesome. I specifically chose this setup for the General Lee because I wanted that set. Actually, I stole it from Finnegan. He had bought a different kind of exhaust, and I looked up what kind of muffler it actually used, and it was that muffler. So I didn't buy the exhaust. I just bought the mufflers and made it myself. But on the Chevelle, it's MagnaFlows, and oh man, it's a good sound around town. It's muffled nicely, but when you're on it, it's pretty much straight through. That sounds like a rape tape. It is on. I guess that's the last episode. So, been great, fellas. Been great. Check out patreon.com/KF show. That's where we'll be now that we're off the air, apparently. With all that special giveaways, special monthly shows. Man,
thank you, Nathan.
Give another freebie to our sponsors. Warren Customs has awesome. Warren Customs has the tumbler giveaways. This is real General Lee paint. That's flame red, hugger orange. So there's a million different oranges, but I set this.
No, he told me he did that one exactly the same way he did on your cards. It's a Code 70 75 Corvette flame red over white base.
White base. Okay, on my car it was not white base, but it really matched up. If I ever do another General Lee, it'll be on a white base to get that color. It glows.
It makes it pop.
Yeah. It looks a lot nicer. All right, fellas. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for listening. Wyotech, Holly, Illuma, and Policygenius. Those are the people you have to thank for today's show. or not. So up to you. All right, we will catch you guys later.
Most definitely.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Later.